No one in that room expected his final request to stop the execution from feeling like the cruelest moment of all. By the time the judge spoke, the atmosphere was already tight, thick with inevitability. Everyone knew why they were there. Everyone knew what was coming next. The paperwork had been reviewed. The witnesses were seated. The process had been rehearsed countless times before. The judge looked down at the man and asked the question he had asked many times in his career, the question that usually ended things cleanly. Did he have any last words? Any final wishes? The man didn't hesitate. He didn't stall. He didn't look around the room to gather courage or sympathy. His voice came out calm, almost steady, as if he were ordering a meal or confirming an appointment. He asked for just one thing. He wanted to see his dog. For a moment, no one reacted. The request didn't land right away. Then, a quiet murmur spread across the chamber. It wasn't outrage or laughter. It was confusion. People glanced at one another, unsure how to respond. This wasn't written anywhere. Final requests were usually about faith, or forgiveness, or saying goodbye to family, not a dog. The guards exchanged looks. One shifted his stance. Another tightened his grip on his belt. Their eyes moved toward the warden, already expecting the answer to be no. The rules were clear. This wasn't part of the protocol. This wasn't how things were done. The warden said nothing at first. He stared at the man for a long moment, reading his face. There was no manipulation there, no drama, just quiet acceptance. Finally, after a pause that felt longer than it should have, the warden gave a slow, reluctant nod. The room went silent again. Not the procedural silence from before. Something heavier, something unsettled. The man remained seated. His hands were clasped loosely in his lap. His shoulders didn't rise. His breathing didn't change. There was no relief in his expression, no hope. He had already accepted his fate. This wasn't about escape. It wasn't even about comfort. It was about one last familiar presence before everything disappeared. Minutes passed. They stretched painfully. The overhead lights hummed. The air felt stale. Shoes scraped faintly against the floor. No one spoke. No one moved. Even the witnesses seemed unsure where to look. Then the heavy metal door at the far end of the room opened. At first, the dog didn't move. It stood frozen in the doorway, overwhelmed by the uniforms, the bright lights, the sharp smells of disinfectant and fear. Its body was tense, muscles tight, ears flicking back and forth. This wasn't a place it understood. The room held its breath. Then something changed. The dog caught a scent buried beneath everything else, a familiar one, a scent it had known through years of routine and loyalty. Recognition rippled through its body. The ears lifted. The tail stilled. The man raised his head just slightly and said the dog's name, quietly, gently, the way he always had. That was enough. The dog surged forward, nails scraping loudly against the floor. A whine escaped its throat, sharp and desperate. Its tail whipped wildly as it ran. It didn't slow. It didn't hesitate. It launched itself at the man, pressing its body against his chest, shoving its head beneath his chin as if trying to climb back into the life they once shared. The man wrapped his arms around the dog, pulling it close, burying his face into its fur. For the first time since the trial began, his composure broke. Not with screams, not with sobbing. Just a quiet, shattered breath he couldn't stop. Around them, the room fractured. Guards shifted their weight. One turned his face away. Another stared at the floor like it might open beneath him. Even the warden's jaw tightened, his eyes fixed on nothing. The man whispered into the dog's ear. Words meant only for him. Apologies, gratitude, promises that didn't need to be kept. The dog whimpered softly, sensing something was wrong, something final. Time moved forward again when no one wanted it to. A guard stepped closer. His hand rose slowly, hesitantly, signaling that the moment was over. The dog resisted immediately. Its body stiffened. A low growl vibrated in its chest, its paws planted against the floor, refusing to let go. It had to be pulled away, carefully, gently. As the door closed behind them, the sound of the dog's whining echoed through the chamber, louder than any sentence spoken that day. The man didn't turn to watch. He didn't look at the witnesses. He didn't look at the clock counting down his final moments. He stared at the empty space in front of him, where his dog had been. His hands fell back into his lap. His shoulders settled. Completely still. Completely silent. And for everyone in that room, one truth became impossible to ignore. Justice may end a life, but it doesn't erase love. And sometimes, the most devastating part of an execution isn't the punishment itself. It's what's left behind. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more true crime stories like this.